Let's start the types of the dyes, types of the natural dyes. In that, we have studied the turmeric as a natural dye. In the turmeric, curcumin is the important chemical constituent responsible for the turmeric. Next is the logwood. In the logwood, it is also one of the natural dyes, natural modern dyes, which is extracted from the Campeche wood found in the South America, and it contains the glycosides which get hydrolyzed to form the hematine as the products. So hematine is the main contents. So logwood is the only natural dye which is still produced from the natural sources or commercial scale. Next is the henna, means the mehendi. Okay, so henna is the one of the plant, botanical plants, reddish brown dye colors. Okay, and found in the powders leaves of the tropical plants. It is a property of the having the acidic dye. It is mainly used in the India for the dyeing of the hairs and for making the reddish brown design on the skin, on the hands, on the marriage ceremonies or any ceremonies. Indian culture, there is the most importance for the henna. So it is one of the important dyes and having the pyragalol and the copper salt and used as a hair dye. So lavsone is the contents coloring matter present in the henna. Lavsone is the chemical content, chemical constituents present in the henna which is responsible for its colors. Next is the saffron. We know that the saffron colors. So saffron is also used for the coloring. Okay, saffron generally uses for the spicy materials. Okay, and food also. So it is often from the flowers, that is the stigma of the crocus, and color of the saffron is the yellow, purple or white, and the plants belonging to the family of the crocus sativus. Okay, it is a very expensive. Okay, because it counts in the, okay, milligrams, grams. It sell in the gram also, and I think its cost is near about the 2000 3000 rupees for the 10 grams. Very expensive, 300 200 rupees grams. And it is a non-toxic. It is mainly used food colors and the flowering agents. It is used for the food colors for the sweets. Okay, next is the chlorophyll. We know the chlorophyll is the green pigment present in the leaves of the green plants. Okay, it is responsible for the green colors and help for the, okay, chlorophyll help for the photosynthesis. So this coloring matter is the green leaves and the bark of the plants, and it has the magnesium complex having the metals in the centers. Chlorophylls having the metals, that is the magnesium complex of the heterocyclic compound called the porphyrin, and its compounds called as chlorophyll A, B, which is differ in methyl or aldehydic group respectively. They can be separated by using the chromatography. Chlorophyll is used in the generally used for the cottage dyeing and the block printing handlooms, but it gives the dull green shades which poor fastness. So it is non-toxic ones. For that purpose, it is used as a food color. For the fabric purposes, there are a lot of options are available, which are better than this. Okay, chlorophyll pigments. So it is mostly used in the foods as the food colors. So some of the limitations also for the natural dyes. Okay, limitations are the only small amount of dye can be obtained. Okay, means the concentrations of that particular active dye is less, and the large amount of animal or vegetable matters required. Okay, they were invariably expensive also. So expense does not alternate for the another dye so that to the synthetic dyes is used. Generally, it is safe in case of the food materials because which directly deals with the health. Okay, but in other cases for the external use, maximum times artificial dyes are used. The light, the fastness is also lowered, properties were poor, and only handful of natural dyes are still extracted and used. Most others largely replaced by the synthetic dyes. Next is synthetic dyes. In the synthetic dyes, it is a purely organic molecules. Okay, and the raw material for the manufacturing, organic raw material used for the manufacturing of the synthetic dyes. Example: benzene, toluene, pyridine, acetylene. Okay, it is our use. And however, the primaries are never used directly in the synthesis dyes, and they are first converted into intermediates. So intermediate are used. Intermediate are attached with the number of groups. Okay, to enhance this sharpness. Okay, number of groups are attached. Electron withdrawing groups are attached to the particular intermediates, and that will increase the wavelength and the sharpness of that particular dyes. So intermediates, primary is converted into dyes intermediate and then converted into the dye. This is the process of the example is considered for that is the benzene primary, while benzene sulfonic acid is the dye intermediate and then converted into directly into the dye. So depending upon the which types of the groups attached, okay, they are showing different types of the colors also. So development of synthetic dyes and important milestones. So it is a journey of the dyes, how it is dyes are developed. So in this case, the first dye was developed by the Perkin. Okay, William Henry Perkin was developed the first dye in the age of the 1838 to 1907, and it is the put the stone of the foundation stone of the dyes, and it is the father of the synthetic modern synthetic dyes industries. So it is the firstly synthesized the first molecule that is the morphine. Morphine structure of morphine is this. Then later on, the Perkins developed another dye also that is saffronin for dyeing the cools, silk, and also used tannin and sodium stannine are modern to get the brightness. So it started and then developed a number of the dyes. And then next another scientist was the John Peters, Greece, which discovered the another important synthetic dyes. Okay, which also said the foundations was laid for the making large number of azo dyes. Okay, the azo group is formed by the treating of the amines with the nitrogen. So this scientist helped to develop dyes. That is the Bismarck brown is the one of the content. That is aniline yellow is another content. Another landmark history of the dye stuff is the discovery of the Congo red in 1884. The Bogitar. Okay, these scientists also developed the another important dyes. This is the journey of the dyes. In that Congo red is one of the. Then the indigo had been used for the ancient times, and the dye was first extracted from the plants in 1980s. And the one Bayer established the structure of the indigo, the first wet dye. So this is also an important dye that is indigo. Indigo generally used for the coloring to the jeans. Okay, indigo jeans are main colors, main use in the jeans industries. That is the coloring to the jeans we use in the day to day. In 1901, Rainy Bond scientist that is also prepared in, uh, indanthrene by fusing the beta amino anthraquinone with the caustic potash. This was the first anthraquinoid wet dye. azure dyes, indigo dyes, and another category is the anthraquinone types of the dyes, which developed by the scientist Rene Bohn. So anthraquinone type means having the many numbers of the cyclic structures, cyclic aromatic structure, the compounds. Next scientist is the Raymond Vidal, which discovered the sulfur dye. Okay, by eating the para-nitro compounds. In 1918, the cellulose acetate fiber were discovered, and they could not be dye by any of the earlier dyes. Later, it was found to be that they could be the dye by using the dispersion of the anthraquinones dyes, and this led to the discovery of the dispersion types of the dye. So these are the different types of dye: azure dyes, okay, Congo reds, anthraquinone types of the dyes, and next one category that is the dispersion types of the dyes. In 1928, the metal compounds like the phthalocymines were prepared, which intense color, so it is also used, okay, coloring purposes, having the pigments, and started the manufacturing of the copper phthalocyanate, which was the called as the monstral fast blue. Okay, and in 1929, found that they had the bleach flax yarns. Okay, and these scientists also work on the synthetic dyes. Okay, work on the whiteness. Okay, this led to the developments of the fluorescent brightening agent for the textile industries. The brightening agent required for the bleaching of the that particular cottons. So it is introduced by the craze, okay, and used for the amino steel bean disulfonic acid as a brightening agents in the textile industry. So this is also one of the important dyes. Later on, other coumarin derivatives also developed. That is the umbelliferone acetate, okay, beta methyl umbelliferone were introduced as the brightening agents. In 1956, an entirely new class of the dyes called as the reactive dyes were introduced by the Ratti and Stephens of the ICI. So these are the important dyes. Okay, so you have to be know the what are the different types of the dyes which develop, that is journey of the development of the dye. So another scientist, that is Hoches Limited, developed the new series of the reactive dyes under the brand name of the Ramazoles. Later several new and modified dyes were prepared with the aim of the producing the and the aim of the reducing the cost. So now also the number of research are going on the cost basis, how to be produce that particular dyes by using the less amount investments. Okay, so cost effective dyes also scientists are working and developing. So this is all about the first topics of the dyes. Next, another topic of the dye is the substrate for the dye or types of the fibers. So in these types, we know that the fibers, okay, generally fibers we obtain from the cottons, wools, okay, and which we woven into the fabrics. So the types of there are different, okay, types of fiber differ in the source depending upon the source structures, textile, and the properties. So most common fabrics is the natural fabrics is the cotton. We know that the cotton having the cellulose, okay, cellulose fibers, and cellulose fibers having the structure similar to that of the glucose structures. If you having the structure of the glucose, okay, so in the cyclic form, so and that time we can understand that these are the structures of the glucose. These glucose structure are joined together, okay, this is the bi glucose units in the cotton fibers. So cotton fibers having the glucose unit structures, okay. In these cases, next is the mercerization process for the cotton. What is the mercerization process? So in this process, generally the fibers, cotton fibers are treated with the concentrated chemicals of the alkali under the high pressures, which make them the swallow, which make them the swallow. And after this treatment, cotton fibers acquire the silk like lusters, and they cannot be shrink. So big disadvantage behind the cotton is that there are chances of the shrinking. So that chances of the shrinking reduced by the process of the mercerizations, in which the fibers are treated with the concentrated alkali under pressure, and because of this there is a limitations also overcomes, okay, and increase the luster and they cannot be shrink lengthwise. So this procedure of the treatment is called as a mercerizations, and this is also increase the affinity for the dyes. Next is the wool. Wool is a natural source, okay, and these natural compounds, it is a proteinous fibers obtained from the animals sources, and it consists of the protein units. Protein units means C double bond O NH2 groups are attached, and linkage are there. Structure of wool fiber is given here, okay. So in these fibers, structure of the cysteines amino acids are attached to one another, and this amino acids linkage is the formation of the protein linkage. So we know that in our hairs also there is a proteins, okay. हमारे बालों में भी क्या होता है, प्रोटीन होता है. तो जनरली जो है हेयर सेटर बोल के क्रीम्स आते हैं, ओके. तो हेयर सेटर जो क्रीम आते हैं वो क्रीम भी उसी पे काम करते हैं कि उसके अंदर जो प्रोटीन है, प्रोटीन का लिंकेज है, अमाइनो एसिड का लिंकेज है. तो वो जो पर्टिकुलर जेल आते हैं वो जेल क्या करते हैं, वो प्रोटीन के चेन पे काम करते हैं. और चेन पे काम करने के बाद वो अगर जो कोई सेटर है, हेयर सेटर, तो हेयर सेट करने के लिए जब जेल लगाते हैं, जेल क्या करता है, बॉन्ड पे काम करता है, बॉन्ड को फ्लेक्सिबल बना देता है. और बॉन्ड को फ्लेक्सिबल बनाने के बाद एक बार जो टर्न हुआ हेयर, एक बार जो हेयर सेट हुआ, उसके बाद में फिर वो लॉन्ग टाइम तक वैसा ही सेट रहता है. तो मीन्स क्या है, वो लिंकेज पे काम करते हैं. इनके अंदर क्या होते हैं, हेयर के अंदर, वूल्स के अंदर प्रोटीन लिंकेजेस होते हैं, तो लिंकेज पे जो है वर्क होता है. तो वूल फाइबर्स disintegrates on the treatment with the base like a strong acid and hydrolyzes the structure of the wool fibers. Okay. For the dyeing process in acidic solutions, and acidity is strictly controlled. Wool fiber can be dyed with the acid as well as the basic dye through the formation of salt linkage. This is the process of the how to process of the dyes, okay, and make them pleasant, make them the colorfuls, okay, good lookings, okay, and that is woven into the fabrics. So this is all about the. Next is the silk. Silk is also one of the important and very expensive types of the animal, okay, animal fibers. So it is also having the proteins fiber containing the linear arranged polypeptide structures called as the fibroin with the side chains. When the silk fiber is subjected to the hydrolyze, amino acid obtain the glycine, alanine, serine, and tyrosine. These are acid structures, polypeptide chains, and this polypeptide chain give colors, okay, to the particular that of the silk. Silk is woven into the fabrics. Wool and silk fibers are first treated with the and then in wet condition dye with acid or base dyes through the information of the salt linkage. Another one is the semi-synthetic. These are the important dyes which we have studied. Okay, most commonly used, most and most of these types of the next is semi-synthetic fibers. So these are the cellulose fibers, and these are obtained by the chemical modification, and they are also called the generators fibers. Chemical cotton or rayons. Rayon are the materials which looks like semi-synthetic, artificially prepared, and the cellulosic material present in the wood pulp is dissolved by the chemical treatment and then generated into the form. There are three different types. In the viscous rayon, another is the cupraneous rayons, okay, and the third one is the acetate rayon. These are the three types of the semi-synthetic fibers. It is the rayons. In the viscous rayons, the wood pulp is treated, okay, bleached and caustic soda solutions, and for the 1 hours at 30 to 40 degrees centigrades, okay, resulting in the formation of the cellulose, okay, and this is the bits and treated with the calcium disulfide, which gives the color to the cellulose xanthate, and this material is dissolved in the dilute alkali and allowed the ripen for the photo. These solutions spine having the minute holes, okay, into the spinning bath mainly containing the H2SO4 and 20% Na2SO4, and the solution come into contact with the acid and the alkali is neutralized and the filaments of the regenerated cellulose is obtained, which is called as the viscous rayon. It's the process how it is obtained. Okay, so generally you have to read this when we are asking about the MCQ question. At that time it is important. The cupraneous, okay, cupra ammonium rayon or the silk. This is the freshly prepared, okay, precipitated copper hydrolyzed is dissolved in the ammonium hydroxide to get the blue colored cupra ammonium hydroxide, and this is mixed with the wood pulp, okay, and solution is filtered and solution is forced through the spinat, okay, extruded under the pressure in the NaOH solution, basic solutions, and the solution coagulate to form the filament, and which is called as the cupra ammonium silk. Another one is the acetate. This is a mixture of the equal acetic anhydride and glacial acetic acid, which is mixed with the H2SO4 acidic condition at 7 degrees centigrade at the low temperatures, and gradually added allowed to the react with the 6 to 8 hours, maintaining the temperature below the 30 degrees centigrades, and the cellulose present in the wood pulp gets completely acetylated into the cellulose triacetates. And then the viscous solution of the cellulose triacetate is diluted with the equal parts of the acetic acids and the 10% of the H2SO4 and maintained at the 38 degrees centigrades. So acetic acid is the most important in this. Our sulfuric acid is used for the, okay, finishing of that particular silk, rayon silk. The reaction mixture is diluted with the excess of the water with the present further hydrolysis. Okay, acidic solution is neutralized by using the water and hydrolysis is by the basic solutions. Okay, then the acid diacetate is precipitated and the mixture is centrifuged to separate the diacetate solids. And this diacetate flakes are then washed. Okay, then wash and dried with the dry flakes are the dissolved in the acetones in the enclosed containers. The solution is forced through the spinner into the current of the warm moist air when the cellulose is regenerated and the filaments will called as the acetate rayon. How to obtain the three different types of the rayons. The three different procedures are for the semi-synthetic rayons. Okay, then the synthetic fibers. These are the purely synthetic fibers. Okay, so in that polymers are used. Generally, polyester. We know that the polyester. Okay, polyester जो हम जो कपड़े में use करते हैं, that is synthetic types of the fibers. So this polyester having the structure of the carbonyl carbons having attached with the benzene rings. Okay, it is the hydrophobic fibers. They repel the water molecules. पॉलिस्टर में जो है वाटर एब्जॉर्ब नहीं होता है, ये आपको भी पता है, जो वॉश करते वक्त आपको समझ में आता है कि वो जो है वाटर के साथ ज़्यादा में नहीं आता है. ओके, पॉलिस्टर. So they are the water repellings, hydrophobic in natures. Example is terylene. Okay, it is a condensation of polymer of ethyl glycols and a dimethyl terephthalate. इसकी टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ बहुत ज़्यादा होती है और ग्रीस रेजिस्टेंस होता है. नेक्स्ट इज नायलॉन. Nylon is artificial. Okay, synthetics having the nylon 6 and nylon 6. These two types of the nylons, synthetic polymers. This is a polyamide structure, linear structure, and it is also the hydrophobic in natures. Next is the blended fabrics. Okay, next category is the blended fabrics. So in the blended fabrics are created when the two or more different kinds of the fibers are mixed together to create a new fabric which is a unique property. Example, cotton is light, soft and breathable, hence it is a comfortable fabrics. However, it can be wrinkles or shrink or washings. Polyester is strong, does not wrinkle, shrink and holds color well, but it is not a breathable fabrics and it is uncomfortable in hot climates as it does not absorb the perspiration, sweat. Blending polyesters with cotton or the viscose creates the material that is comfortable, resistance to wrinkles and holds its shapes and color well. Similarly, linen and the silk are blended together to give the fabrics that does not crease out of wells. The combinations used for the better results. A combination means 80%, 30%, okay, 70%, 70%, 30%, or 50-50% combinations used so that the both the properties will occur. One is the hydrophobic also, and another one is the grease resistance also. So these are the important combinations are made in the fibers. Next is the class of the dye applicable to particular fibers. So which class of the dye is applicable? Okay, there are different types of the dye which are used for different purposes. Okay, for the purpose of the cottons. Okay, cotton dye with the direct dyes, wet dyes, and solubilized wet dyes, sulfur dyes, okay, ingrained dyes. So the azoic dyes, reactive dyes, pigment emulsions. So number of dyes used for the cotton purposes. Wool is dyed with the acidic dyes, acid modern dyes, basic dyes, reactive dyes. Silk is dyed with the direct dye, acid dye, modern dye, and basic dyes. So there are number of options are available here for the dyes purposes. For the cotton, direct dye; for wool, the acid dye; for the silk, acid basic dyes; polyamide acid dispersed dye; polyesters dispersed dye; polypropylene selected dispersed dye; the polyacrylonitrile is cationic dye. So these are the options are available for the dyes for the application on the particular types of the fibers. It may be natural, semi-synthetic, or the purely synthetic types. So this is all about the